Tuesday in October, raining like hell in Portland, the kind of annoying rain that feels like it'll never stop. I was at the office, drowning in paperwork from a case I'd just closed, when my phone rang. "Detective Miller," I answered, not taking my eyes off the reports. "Detective, it's Officer Martinez. We've got a weird situation at Riverside Park. You need to come check this out." I sighed deeply. Nothing good ever starts with weird situation. "What kind of weird, Martinez?" "Better if you see it yourself." "But I see, there's a dog involved." "A dog?" Okay, now I was curious. On my way, I grabbed my old jacket, the one that had seen better days, and headed to the park. The rain had let up when I arrived. I saw Martinez near the swings, and next to her was a soaking wet golden retriever, sitting like a person, waiting for someone. "This is your emergency?" I asked, walking up. The dog looked at me with those brown eyes, and man, there was something different in that look. Something sad as hell. "Not exactly, Detective." Martinez crouched down and carefully turned the dog's collar. "Take a look at this." There was a folded piece of paper taped to the collar. I put on my gloves, you never know, and opened the note. The handwriting was rushed, kind of desperate, written in blue pen that had smudged a bit. "Do not return her, please. Her name is Lucy. He will hurt her. If you care about animals, find her a safe home. Do not trust anyone who comes looking, please." I felt that chill you get when you know things are serious. 20 years on the force gives you that sixth sense, you know? And this thing was screaming trouble. "Already checked for a microchip?" I asked, running my hand through Lucy's wet fur. She leaned her head against my leg, like she knew I could help. "Already tried with the reader, nothing, just this note." "All right." I looked around. "Security cameras?" "There's one in the parking lot, and another at the main entrance." "Already requested the footage." "Good work, Martinez." I crouched in front of Lucy. "What happened to you, girl?" The dog licked my hand, and right then I knew this wasn't just a lost dog. Something way bigger was going on here. "Take her to the municipal shelter," I said. "But put a special note in the system. Nobody gets this dog without talking to me first. Got it?" "Yes, sir." I headed back to the station with the note in an evidence bag. My partner, Detective James Wong, raised an eyebrow when he saw me. "Let me guess," he said, leaning back in his chair. "Rescued another kitten from a tree." Funny guy. I tossed the bag on his desk. "Read that and tell me what you think." Wong grabbed it, read it, and his face changed instantly. "Shit, this looks like domestic violence." That's what I thought. I sat in my chair that creaked like it always does. A woman desperate enough to abandon her own dog with an anonymous note? She's scared. Really scared. "Or the guy's using the dog to control her," Wong added. And I felt my stomach turn because he was right. Abusers do this all the time, use pets as weapons. I need to figure out who she is before it's too late. I spent the next few hours investigating. The park cameras showed a woman leaving. Lucy there around 6 a.m. She was wearing a hood that covered most of her face, but you could see she was crying. She stayed crouched with the dog for about 10 minutes, clearly saying goodbye. Then she tied the leash to a post and ran off, looking back several times. "She didn't want to do this," I murmured, watching the recording for the 5th time. "Look at her body language." "She's destroyed," Wong agreed, studying the screen. "But why didn't she come straight to us?" "Because the guy probably threatened her. Said if she went to the cops it'd be worse. It's always like that." I zoomed in on the image as much as I could. The woman was wearing jeans and a dark green jacket. White sneakers looked like Converse. No jewelry. Brown hair, shoulder length coming out of the hood. Average height, thin. "I'll send it to the lab," Wong said. "See if they can enhance the image." Meanwhile, I had another idea. I grabbed the note again and studied the handwriting. It was from someone right-handed, probably a woman. The words were rushed but legible. Educated person. But what caught my attention most was the paper. It had a very subtle watermark. I held it up to the light. "Wong, hand me a magnifying glass." I examined the paper closely. "This is hotel stationery. See this mark? It's pretty specific. Can you identify which one?" "I'll find out." I spent 2 hours calling hotels in Portland, describing the watermark. On the 23rd one, I got lucky. "Yes, that's our paper." The manager at the Portland Riverside Hotel confirmed. "We leave it in all the rooms." "Perfect. I need the guest list from the last 2 weeks, especially women traveling alone or couples. Detective, you know I need a warrant for that. It'll be on your desk in an hour. I hung up and looked at Wong. I think we found our first real lead. The judge signed the warrant fast. The mention of domestic violence helped. At 8 p.m., I was back at the hotel with a list of names and the enhanced camera photo. The manager, a woman in her 50s named Patricia, studied the photo carefully. I'm not absolutely sure, but that jacket looks familiar. My heart raced. Go on. We had a couple check in 3 days ago. Room 412. Something about them made me uncomfortable. The woman seemed tense, nervous, barely made eye contact. Are they still here? Patricia checked the computer. Yes, they booked for a week. Marcus Thompson and Elena Thompson. Elena, finally a name. I need to see the hotel cameras. All of them. And I want to know everything about this Marcus Thompson. While Patricia was getting the cameras ready, Wong was already on the phone checking backgrounds. When the information came in, my blood ran cold. Detective, you need to hear this, Wong said, voice tense. Marcus Thompson, 38 years old. 2 prior domestic violence charges. But the cases were dropped. Victims recanted. A restraining order 4 years ago that expired. And get this, he's got a history of violence against animals. Was charged with animal abuse 6 years ago, but again the case was dropped. Son of a bitch, I muttered. It's him. I'm sure of it. I spent hours analyzing the hotel footage. I saw Marcus and Elena check in 3 days earlier. Elena was carrying Lucy on a leash. Marcus's behavior was obvious. He always walked a step ahead, turning to check if she was following. Classic controlling body language. Eleanor kept her head down, holding Lucy close. In one particularly disturbing scene, captured by the hallway camera, I saw Marcus grab Elena's arm hard when she stopped to let Lucy sniff something. Even without audio, you could see him saying something aggressive. Elena flinched, pulled Lucy close, and quickly entered the room. This guy's a monster, Wong said over my shoulder. And she's trapped up there with him right now. I looked at him. We need to get her out now. Miller, hold on. Think about it. We don't have evidence of a current crime. He'll claim it's a domestic dispute. She'll deny it because she's scared, and we'll lose our chance. I knew he was right. But every fiber of my being wanted to go up to that room and get Elena out. So what do you suggest? We build a proper case. Talk to Elena when he's not around. Offer protection, resources. Do this right so when we arrest this asshole, he stays arrested. I took a deep breath. Wong was right. I needed to be smart about this. Okay, Patricia, I called the manager. I need to know their routine. When does he leave? When does he stay in the room? Patricia checked her notes. Mr. Thompson leaves every morning around 10 a.m. Stays out for about 2 hours. Mrs. Thompson, she never leaves. Not once since they arrived. Of course not. He wouldn't let her. Perfect. Tomorrow morning, as soon as he leaves, I'm going up. I want a uniformed officer in the lobby, discreet. If he comes back early, I need a heads up. Understood. I didn't sleep much that night. I kept thinking about Elena trapped in that room, probably wondering if her dog was safe, if anyone had found the note, if anyone cared. I thought about Lucy, those sad eyes trusting me to do the right thing. At 9:30 the next morning, I was in the lobby of the Portland Riverside Hotel, wearing plain clothes. Wong was with me, along with a lawyer from the Domestic Violence Victim Advocacy Center, named Rachel Summers. If we were going to do this, we'd do it right. At 10:02, Marcus Thompson stepped out of the elevator. Tall, muscular build, dark hair slicked back. He had an arrogant smile on his face that made me want to punch him. He walked right past us, didn't even look twice, and went out the front door. Let's go, I said. We went up to room 412. My heart was pounding. I knocked gently. Room service, I called. I didn't order. A female voice began, then stopped. The door opened a crack, chain still in place. 2 brown eyes, the same ones from the security video, looked at me with fear. Yes? Elena Thompson. I showed my badge but kept my voice low and calm. My name is Detective Miller. I found your dog, Lucy. She's safe, and I'm here to help you. Her eyes filled with tears instantly. I can't. I know you're scared. But he left. We have time. Please let me in. You're not alone in this. For a long moment I thought she'd close the door in my face. But then I heard the chain being removed and the door opened. Helena Thompson was short, about 5'3", way too thin. She had bruises on her arms that she tried to hide with long sleeves. A faded purple mark on the left side of her face that she'd covered with makeup. But what hit me most were her eyes, tired, scared, but with a spark of hope when I mentioned Lucy. "Is Lucy really safe?" was the first thing she asked. "She is, I promise. She's at a special shelter where he'll never find her. But Elena, I need to get you out of here too." She started crying. That kind of silent crying from someone who learned not to make noise. Rachel stepped forward and gently put her hand on Elena's shoulder. "My name is Rachel. I work with domestic violence victims. We have a safe place for you, resources, legal protection. You don't have to go back to him." "He'll find me," Elena whispered. "He always finds me. I've tried to leave before. 3 times. Each time he found me, and it was worse." "Not this time," I said firmly. "This time will be different. This time we're going to arrest him." "On what charge? I always drop the charges before." "I'll find something. But first I need you to tell me everything. From the beginning." And she told me. Eleanor had met Marcus 5 years ago. He was charming, attentive, perfect, like they always are in the beginning. They got married after 6 months. The honeymoon lasted about 3 months before the mask started to slip. First came the insults, then the isolation. He made her cut off contact with friends and family. Then the physical violence started. A slap here, a shove there, always followed by apologies, flowers, promises to change. Lucy had been a gift from him during one of the good periods. But as the violence escalated, Marcus started using Lucy as a control tool. He threatened to hurt the dog if Elena didn't obey. Once, when she threatened to call the police, he accidentally broke Lucy's paw. "I couldn't let him hurt her again," Elena sobbed. "Lucy was the only good thing in my life. The only one who really loved me without hurting me." "Why Portland?" Wong asked gently. "Where are you guys from?" "Seattle. Marcus said we were coming here for his work. But I knew it was to get me even further from anyone I knew. To isolate me completely. And you brought Lucy." He insisted. Said if I didn't bring her, he'd do something to her while we were gone. I couldn't leave her alone with him. "So you decided to leave her in the park," I completed. Elena nodded, tears falling freely now. "It was the hardest thing I've ever done. But at least this way she'd have a chance." He was getting worse. Last night he hit her because she barked when someone walked past in the hallway. Said next time would be worse, much worse. "He hit Lucy last night?" Wong leaned forward, voice urgent. "Is she hurt?" "He kicked her. In her side. She cried, but I don't know if he broke anything. He wouldn't let me take her to a vet." Shit, that was animal abuse. A real documentable crime. "Eleanor," I said slowly, "I need you to make a formal report about what he did to Lucy and about what he did to you." "He'll kill me if I do that." "He won't get the chance. We're going to arrest him today. Now, and you'll be in a safe shelter. Before he even knows what happened." "But how?" "You can't just arrest him for hitting me. I've tried before. They always let him go. This time is different. He hurt an animal. We have physical evidence. Lucy will get a full veterinary exam. We have your testimony. And this time you won't back down, will you?" Eleanor looked at me, then at Rachel, then at Wong. For a long moment, I saw the battle happening inside her, fear versus hope. Finally, she took a deep breath and nodded. "No, I won't back down. I'm tired of being scared." "Good." I stood up. "Rachel's going to take you to the shelter now. Wong, call for backup. We'll be waiting when this asshole comes back." But fate had other plans. While Elena was gathering her few things, Marcus controlled even what she could bring on trips. My radio crackled. "Detective Miller." It was the officer in the lobby, voice tense. "He came back early. He's heading up now." My blood froze. "How much time do we have?" "About 30 seconds. He just got in the elevator." "Shit." I looked at Elena, who had gone pale. "It's okay. We're here. He's not going to hurt you." "You don't understand," she whispered. "If he sees me with you..." I didn't have time to respond. Footsteps in the hallway. Wong positioned himself near the door, hand on his holster. Rachel guided Elena to the bathroom to keep her out of the initial line of sight. The door started to open. Marcus had a key. He walked in, smiling, holding a pharmacy bag. The smile froze when he saw me standing in the middle of the room. "Who the hell are you?" he asked, but I could see his neurons working, realizing I was a cop even in plain clothes. "Detective Michael Miller, Portland Police Department." I showed my badge. "Mr. Thompson, we need to talk." His eyes narrowed. "About what? And where's my wife?" "Your wife is safe. And we want to talk about Lucy." For a split second I saw something cross his face. Fear, anger. Then the mask came back, the charming smile. "Lucy, our dog, she ran away yesterday. We were looking for her." "You found her? Thank God." "Cut the crap, Thompson." Wong stepped closer. "We know what you did." "What I did?" Marcus laughed, but it was a humorless laugh. "Officer, I don't know what my wife told you, but she has problems, mental ones. Sometimes she makes things up. Like the bruises on her arms?" I replied. "Or the bruise on her face she tried to cover with makeup. She made those up too. She's clumsy, always hurting herself. I take care of her, you know. It's hard, but I love my wife." It was impressive how he talked. So smooth, so convincing. You could see how he'd managed to keep Elena trapped for so long. "And Lucy?" I asked. "Is she clumsy too? Is that why she has possibly broken ribs?" Something changed in his face. The mask started to crack. "I don't know what you're talking about." "There are witnesses who heard a dog crying in this room last night. Around 9:30 p.m. Want to explain that?" She wasn't behaving well. Barked at nothing. I had to discipline her. Any dog owner would do the same." "Kicking an animal isn't discipline, Mr. Thompson. It's abuse, and it's a crime." I saw the change happen in real time. The charming man disappeared, replaced by something cold and dangerous. "Where's Elena?" he asked, voice low and threatening. "Elena!" She came out of the bathroom, trembling but holding her head up. Rachel was by her side. "I told them," Elena said, voice surprisingly firm. "I told them everything." Marcus's face turned red. "You stupid bitch. After everything I did for you. Gave you a roof, food, even that damn dog you love more than me." "Mr. Thompson," I interrupted, "stop talking now." But he didn't stop. In fact, he took a step toward Elena, and I saw the intent in his eyes. "You're going to regret this," he spat. "When these cops leave, when all this blows over, you're going to—" "Nothing's going to blow over," I said, positioning myself between him and Elena. "Marcus Thompson, you're under arrest for animal abuse and making threats. You have the right to remain silent." "This is ridiculous." He exploded. "For a dog? You're arresting me because of a damn dog." "And domestic violence," Wong added, also positioning himself. "And threats. And when we're done investigating, I bet we'll find a lot more." "She'll never testify against me," Marcus laughed. But there was desperation in his voice now. "She always comes back. Always forgives me. She loves me." "Not anymore," Elena said. And there was strength in her voice that wasn't there before. "It's over, Marcus. You can't hurt me anymore. And you'll never touch Lucy again." I saw something break inside him. The mask was completely gone, replaced by pure rage. He lunged toward her. He didn't get anywhere close. Wong and I caught him before he took 3 steps. He fought hard, Metzbaum, but it was 2 against 1, and we were trained for this. In less than a minute, he was on the ground, handcuffed, screaming obscenities. "You're going to pay for this. All of you. She's my wife, mine." "Not anymore," I muttered, helping Wong lift him up. "She never was yours. People aren't property." While Wong took Marcus out, still screaming, still threatening, I turned to Elena. She had collapsed into a chair, crying, but this time it seemed different. It wasn't the silent, scared crying from before. It was relief. Pure relief. Rachel was by her side, arm around her shoulders. "It's over," Rachel said softly. "You were very brave." Can I see Lucy?" Elena asked, looking at me with hope. "Of course, as soon as the vet examines her and makes sure she's okay. But Elena, you need to know, if her ribs are broken, if there's internal damage, that's going to be important evidence in the case. You understand what that means?" She nodded. "It means he can't claim it was an accident. It means there's proof. Exactly. Then I want them to do every test. I want them to document everything. Every bruise, every scratch. Because he did this. And I need the world to know what kind of monster he is. I smiled. You're stronger than you think, Elena. No, she shook her head. I'm weak. I stayed with him for 5 years. Let him hurt me, control me, turn me into this. Hey! I crouched in front of her. Surviving isn't weakness. Surviving is the strongest thing anyone can do. And leaving? Leaving Lucy in that park with that note, knowing you were asking for help? That was courage. Real courage. Her tears fell faster. I just wanted her to be safe. And she will be. And so will you. The vet confirmed our suspicions. Lucy had 2 cracked ribs, extensive bruising on her left side, and signs of previous trauma. The veterinary report was added to the evidence, along with photos of Elena's injuries, witness statements from the hotel, and the security footage. Marcus Thompson was formally charged with animal abuse, domestic violence, terroristic threats, and a dozen other charges. His lawyer tried to get bail, but the judge saw the evidence and denied it. Marcus was staying locked up until trial. Elena went to the shelter, where she started therapy and worked with lawyers to get a permanent restraining order. But the best part, a week later when Lucy was released from the vet clinic, I arranged a reunion. It was at a different park, far from where it all began, on a sunny day that seemed impossible after all that rain. I saw Elena waiting near a bench, nervous, biting her nails. When she saw Lucy, all the nervousness disappeared. Lucy, the dog, still wearing a bandage but much better, pulled the leash from my hand and ran what seemed like the fastest a golden retriever had ever run. Eleanor dropped to her knees and Lucy jumped on her, licking her face, making those happy dog whines, tail wagging so fast her whole body shook. I missed you so much, Elena sobbed, burying her face in the golden fur. So much. I stood there watching, and I won't lie, had to wipe my eyes a few times. Wong, who had come with me, coughed suspiciously and turned away. Got something in my eye, he muttered. Yeah, me too. After a few minutes, Elena looked up, still holding Lucy. Detective Miller, I don't know how to thank you. You saved her life. And mine. You saved yourself, Elena. All I did was show up. But that note, that was you fighting. Fighting for Lucy, and fighting for yourself even without realizing it. What happens now? I mean, can I keep her? The shelter where you're staying allows pets, and it's all arranged. Lucy is all yours, legally, officially. He has no rights to her. Or to you. Eleanor hugged Lucy tighter, and the dog seemed to understand, snuggling into her. Detective, she said after a moment, can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you care so much? It was just a note on a dog. Most people would have just turned her over to animal control and moved on. I thought about the question. Honestly, I hadn't thought much about it. Because I saw her eyes, I finally answered. Lucy's, and I saw something in them that I recognized. Fear, yes, but also hope. Hope that someone would notice, that someone would care. And then I read your note, and I realized you were having that same hope. 2 living beings, both scared, both needing help, both hoping someone would care enough to do something. How could I not care? Elena nodded, wiping her tears. There are more good people in the world than I thought. Yeah, there are. And now you're free to find them. 6 months later, I got an email from Elena. She'd gotten a job at a library, was living in a small but cozy apartment, and was continuing therapy. But the best part was the photo she attached. It was her and Lucy, both sitting in a different park on a sunny day. Eleanor was smiling, a real genuine smile that reached her eyes. Lucy was next to her, tongue out, looking like the happiest dog in the world. And on Lucy's collar, where that desperate note used to be, there was now a new, shiny tag with her name and Elena's phone number. The email said, Detective Miller, I wanted you to know we're doing well. More than well, we're happy. Lucy still has nightmares sometimes, and so do I. But we're healing together. I started volunteering at a domestic violence shelter on weekends, helping other women who are where I was. And Lucy, she's become a sort of unofficial therapy dog. There's something about her that makes people open up, feel safe. I think about that day in the park often. The day I left my best friend tied to a post, praying that someone would see my note. I never imagined that not only would someone see it, but that person would care enough to change our lives. Marcus's trial is scheduled for next month. My lawyers say the case is solid. I'm going to testify. For the first time in my life, I'm not backing down. Not for me, although I now know I deserve better. But for Lucy, and for all the other Elenas and Lucys out there who are still trapped, I attached a photo of us. I wanted you to see what your kindness did. It gave us our lives back. With eternal gratitude, Elena and Lucy. I saved the email, put the photo on my desk, next to photos of my own kids. And whenever a case got tough, whenever I started questioning whether my work made any difference, I looked at that photo. 2 survivors, 2 fighters, a woman and her dog, both finally free. The trial happened 5 weeks later. Elena testified for 2 hours, detailing every moment of the 5 years she spent with Marcus. His lawyer tried to discredit her, tried to paint her as unstable, vindictive, a liar, but she held firm. And when the defense finished, the prosecution presented something they didn't expect. "We call our next witness," the prosecutor said. Dr. Sarah Chen, veterinarian. Dr. Chen presented Lucy's x-rays, photos of the bruising, the detailed report. She explained in precise medical terms the kind of force necessary to cause that type of damage. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't discipline. It was pure intentional violence. "And doctor," the prosecutor asked, "in your professional opinion, did this animal suffer?" "Significantly. The cracked ribs would have caused extreme pain with every breath. The bruising indicates repeated blunt force trauma. And based on the partial healing of previous injuries we found, this wasn't an isolated incident. I saw Marcus squirm in his chair. His lawyer put a hand on his arm, warning him not to react. But the cherry on top came when the prosecution presented hotel security footage. Not just what I had seen, they'd gotten more. One in particular showed Marcus in the hallway, late at night, talking on his cell phone. Audio enhancement caught part of the conversation. She's not going anywhere. I'll make sure of that. Already took care of the dog problem. So she won't dare leave me now. You know what happens when she tries." The jury heard it all, saw it all, and it took them less than 3 hours to come back with a verdict. Guilty on all counts. Marcus was sentenced to 8 years in prison, followed by 5 years probation. Permanent restraining order against Elena, banned from owning animals for 10 years after release. When the judge banged the gavel, I saw Elena collapse into Rachel's arms. But this time the tears were relief, justice, closure. Outside the courthouse, Elena found me. "Thank you," was all she said, but everything was in that one word. "You did this," I replied. "You were brave. You testified. You fought because you showed me it was worth fighting." She hugged me, quick, tight, and then she was gone with Rachel and her new support network. People who really cared, people who would never hurt her. I stood there watching her go, and Wong appeared at my side. "Good work, partner," he said. "Good teamwork. So," he smiled, "think we'll have more cases solved by notes on dog collars?" I laughed. "God, I hope not. But you know what? If we do, I'm going to take each one as seriously as this one." "I know. That's why you're a good detective, Miller. You pay attention, even to the small things, especially to the small things." He was right, because sometimes the small things are the big things. A crumpled note, a dog with sad eyes, a desperate woman making one last plea for help. Sometimes the small things change everything. A year later, I was invited to an event at the domestic violence shelter where Elena volunteered. It was a pet adoption day, and they'd partnered with the local animal shelter to help place dogs and cats in safe homes. I saw Elena across the park, helping a young woman with 2 small kids meet a beagle. Lucy was next to her, wearing a vest that said "therapy dog." She saw me and waved. I waved back. A small boy, no more than 6 years old, shyly approached Lucy. His mother looked nervous, protective. Elena crouched down to the boy's level. "Want to pet Lucy?" I heard her ask gently. The boy nodded, still shy. Eleanor guided his little hand to Lucy's golden fur. The dog, trained and gentle, simply sat, letting the boy pet her. "Lucy's very special," Elena told the boy. "She went through some hard things, just like some people here. But she's brave. And now she helps other people be brave too." "Was she hurt?" the boy asked, his eyes wide. "Yes, but she healed. And you know what's cool? She doesn't let what happened in the past stop her from being happy now. She still trusts people, still loves, still plays and wags her tail and is happy." The boy thought about this. Then, with the seriousness only kids can have, he looked at Elena. "Were you hurt too?" Elena paused, then nodded. "I was, but I'm healing. Just like Lucy. And you're still happy?" "Yes," Elena smiled, and it was genuine. "I'm still happy." The boy smiled back, then hugged Lucy. The dog licked his cheek, making him laugh, probably the first real laugh that kid had in a long time. I watched the scene and something settled in my chest. This was the reason I did this job. Not for the arrests, not for the closed cases, not for the commendations. For this, for moments like this, for a woman who got her life back, for a child learning that healing is possible, for a dog who should be dead, but instead was saving lives just by existing, by loving, by forgiving. A note on a collar changed everything. Not just for Elena and Lucy. It changed for every person Elena helped after. For every woman who saw her story and found courage to leave. For every child who petted Lucy and learned that wounds can heal. The ripples from one single act of courage, leaving that note, asking for help, kept spreading outward, touching more and more lives. My phone buzzed. A text from Wong, new case. Homicide on Pine Street. "Need you." I sighed. The work never stopped. But before I left, I walked over to where Elena was. "Gotta go," I said. "But I wanted to say, I'm proud of you, of what you've become, what you're doing." "I learned from the best," she replied. "You taught me that one person caring can make all the difference. You're making a difference now, for all these people." "I'm trying." "And detective?" She hesitated. "If you ever find another person like me, someone who left a note or a sign or any kind of cry for help, will you—" "Always," I interrupted. "I'll always care, always respond. I promise." She nodded, relieved. "Thank you. For everything." I petted Lucy one last time. She leaned her head into my hand, those brown eyes still kind, still trusting, and then headed to my car. As I drove to the crime scene, I thought about how strange life is. How a case that started with a wet dog in a rainy park turned into one of the most significant investigations of my career. Not because it was complex, though it had its moments. Not because it involved a particularly dangerous criminal, though Marcus was certainly a monster, but because it reminded me why I did this job. It reminded me that every case, every call, every weird situation could be someone's chance to be saved. And it all started with 5 words on a piece of paper. "Do not return her, please." 2 years passed. I got occasional updates from Elena, always with photos of her and Lucy, always smiling, always happy. She'd gone back to school, studying to become a trauma counselor. She wanted to help others the way Rachel had helped her. Lucy had become a certified therapy dog, visiting hospitals, schools, and shelters. Apparently, she had a special talent for identifying people who were suffering. She'd approach them, put her head in their laps, and somehow make everything seem a little more bearable. Marcus was serving his sentence. He'd tried to contact Eleanor a few times, letters that were intercepted and never delivered. His lawyer had appealed the sentence twice. Both times were denied. As for me, I kept doing my job. Every case, every call, every weird situation. And always, always, I paid attention to the details, to the small signs, to the silent cries for help, because I learned something that rainy October day. Sometimes justice doesn't come from grand gestures or elaborate investigations. Sometimes it comes from paying attention, from caring when it would be easier to ignore, from following that gut feeling that says something's wrong, even when it seems insignificant. A note on a collar, 5 desperate words, a dog with sad eyes. That's all it took to start. And it changed 3 lives forever. Eleanor's, Lucy's, and yes, even mine. Because it reminded me that in a world full of darkness, sometimes all it takes is one person willing to turn on a light. One person willing to say, "I see you. I care. You're not alone." That's the story of how a note on a collar solved a case we didn't even know existed, how it saved 2 lives that desperately needed saving, and how it taught me the most important lesson of my career: never ignore a cry for help, no matter how small, no matter how strange, because you never know when that small cry might be the difference between life and death, between staying trapped and breaking free, between giving up and finding hope. And if there's one thing 20 years on the force has taught me, it's this: it's always worth caring, always worth trying, always worth being the person who answers when someone asks for help. Always. 3 years after that rainy October day, something unexpected happened. I was at the station reviewing an armed robbery case when the receptionist called me. "Detective Miller, there's a woman at the front desk asking for you. Says it's urgent, and she has a dog with her." My heart skipped. "I'm coming." I went down the stairs faster than I should for a 46-year-old man. When I got to reception, I saw a young woman about 25 years old, red hair in a ponytail, holding the leash of a German shepherd who looked as nervous as she did. "Detective Miller?" she asked, voice trembling. "Yes, and you are?" "My name is Ashley Jennings. I saw a news report about you, about the Elena Thompson and Lucy case, and She swallowed hard, her eyes filling with tears. "I need your help." I felt that familiar chill down my spine. "Come with me." I took her and the dog, a German shepherd named Max, to an empty interrogation room. Wong appeared at the door, giving me that look that said, "Again?" "Talk to me, Ashley," I said gently, sitting across the table. "What's going on?" She took a deep breath. "My boyfriend. Ex-boyfriend. Jake, we broke up 2 weeks ago, but he won't accept it. He shows up at my work at my house, sends hundreds of messages. And yesterday," she paused, petting Max, "yesterday he said if I don't get back with him, he'll make Max disappear. Said it would be easy. Poison, an accident, anything. Do you have these messages?" Wong asked. "All of them. Screenshots of everything." She pulled out her phone and started showing us hundreds of messages, some loving and desperate, others threatening and dark. "Jake's obsessed with Max because he knows he's the only thing that keeps me sane. I suffer from severe anxiety. Max is my emotional support dog." I studied the messages. Classic stalker behavior escalating. "Ashley, why did you come to me specifically?" "Because when I read about Elena and Lucy, I realized it was the same thing. He's using Max to control me. And I was thinking about doing what she did, leaving Max somewhere safe with a note. But then I thought, why not go straight to the detective who actually cared?" Something tightened in my chest. "You did the right thing coming here. We're going to solve this, but I need you to tell me everything from the beginning." And she told me. Jake had been perfect for the first 6 months. Then came the jealousy, the accusations, the isolation. She broke up when he pushed her against a wall during an argument. Since then, he'd been harassing her constantly. "Did you file a police report?" I asked. "I did, 3 times. But he never did anything violent enough to get arrested. It's all borderline, you know? Technically, he's not doing anything illegal. Just showing up at public places where I am. Just sending messages. Just saying words. Fun till now," Wong said. "Threats against a certified emotional support animal? That's different." "Exactly," I agreed. "Ashley, do you have Max's documentation as an emotional support animal?" "I do. Everything's certified and registered." "Perfect. Here's what we're going to do." We set up an operation. Ashley would file a formal complaint about the threats against Max. We'd get a temporary restraining order. And then we'd do something I learned from Elena's case. Be proactive. "I'm going to talk to Jake personally," I said. "Sometimes when these guys realize the police are actually paying attention, they back off." "And if he doesn't back off?" Ashley asked, worried. "Then we'll be watching. And at the first violation of the restraining order, he goes to jail." 2 days later, I went to Jake's workplace, an auto parts store on the east side of Portland. He was exactly what I expected. Tall, arrogant, with that air of someone who thinks rules don't apply to him. "Jake Morrison?" I asked, showing my badge. He barely looked. "Yeah, what's up?" "Detective Michael Miller. I need to talk to you about Ashley Jennings." I saw his jaw tighten. "Ash, what about her? You need to stop contacting her." Immediately. Look, man, he laughed. But it was a humorless laugh. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm just trying to talk to my girlfriend. Ex-girlfriend. And yes, you did. You threatened her emotional support dog. That's a crime. What threat? I just said accidents happen. Exactly. And now you have a restraining order. You can't get within 150 meters of her. Can't contact her in any way. Can't go to the places where she works or lives. And you definitely can't go near her dog. He laughed. Or what? You're going to arrest me for what? For loving my girlfriend? This isn't love, Jake. Love doesn't threaten. Love doesn't control. Love doesn't scare. I stepped closer. And just so you know, I'm personally invested in this case. So if you violate this order, if you get near her, her dog, or even breathe in the wrong direction, I'll know. And you'll find out just how unpleasant the justice system can be. For the first time, I saw uncertainty in his eyes. This is police harassment. No, this is a warning. One you should take seriously. I left the store, but not before seeing the anger burn in his eyes. I called Wong. I think we poked the hornet's nest, I said. Keep surveillance on Ashley's house. This guy's going to do something stupid. I was right. 3 days later at 2 a.m., Jake showed up at Ashley's house. He didn't knock on the door. Didn't try to talk to her. Instead, he went straight to the backyard, where Max slept in his doghouse. But we were waiting. Wong and I were in an unmarked car 2 houses away. We saw Jake jump the fence. We saw him approach the doghouse with something in his hand. Now, I said. We got out of the car, silent, fast. Jake was crouched near the doghouse, a bottle of something in his hand, when we turned on the flashlights. Police! Hands where I can see them. He froze, then he did the stupidest thing possible. He ran. He didn't get far. Wong tackled him in 3 steps. While we handcuffed him, I examined the bottle he'd dropped. Antifreeze, enough to kill a dog Max's size. Jake Morrison, I said, pulling him off the ground. You're under arrest for trespassing, violation of a restraining order, and attempted poisoning of a service animal. I wasn't going to do anything, he screamed. I just wanted to scare her. Sure you were, Wong said sarcastically. That's why you were in her yard at 2 a.m. with antifreeze. We took him to the station. Ashley arrived an hour later, Max by her side. When she saw that Jake was arrested, she collapsed, with relief. Is it over? She asked, voice small. It's over, I confirmed. With the evidence we have, the threats, the restraining order violation, the attempted poisoning, he's going to be locked up for a good while. And Max? I looked down at the German shepherd sitting obediently next to her. Max is going to stay exactly where he should be. With you. She knelt and hugged the dog, crying into his fur. Thank you. Thank you for believing me. Always, I said. I'll always believe. After Ashley's case, something strange started happening. People started showing up at the station, specifically looking for me, with cases involving pets and domestic violence. So you became the animal detective, Wong joked, but I could see the pride in his eyes. Worst way to be known, I laughed, but honestly, I didn't mind, because each case reminded me why I joined the police, why I stayed even on the hard days, why this mattered. One of these cases was particularly touching. A 72-year-old man named Robert Chen came to the station with his orange cat, Marmalade, in a carrier. Detective Miller? He asked, voice fragile. They said you're who I need to look for. Sit down, Mr. Chen. What can I do for you? He placed the carrier on the table. Inside, I saw an old orange cat, probably 15 years or older, looking at me with those typical green eyes. My son, Robert began, and I had to strain to hear. He wants to put me in a nursing home. Says I can't take care of myself anymore. But the nursing home, they don't accept animals. I see. And Marmalade? My son says he'll take care of him. But Detective... Tears rolled down Mr. Chen's wrinkled face. I heard him on the phone, talking to his wife about how expensive it is to keep an old cat, about how it would be easier to get rid of him. My blood boiled. Mr. Chen, do you have other children? Anyone who can help? I have a daughter, Linda, but she lives in Boston. We haven't spoken in years because of my son. He kept me away from her. Isolation, control. The same patterns, only this time it was elder abuse. Okay, here's what we're going to do. It took 2 weeks, but we did it. We contacted the daughter, Linda, who was desperate to reconnect with her father. We discovered that the son had power of attorney over the father's finances. Power of attorney he was using to control every aspect of Robert's life. With the help of an elder law attorney, we managed to transfer legal custody to Linda. She came from Boston, picked up her father and Marmalade, and took them back with her. "Thank you, Detective," Robert said, squeezing my hand with surprising strength. "You saved my life, and my best friend's." I looked at Marmalade in the carrier, purring contentedly. "I just did my job, Mr. Chen." "No," he shook his head. "You did more than that. You saw, you cared. Many people would have said it was just an old cat. Not worth it. Every life is worth it, Mr. Chen. Every life." The department started to notice. After solving almost 12 cases involving pets and domestic violence or abuse in one year, the captain called me to his office. "Miller," he said, leaning back in his chair, "you realize you've become a kind of specialist in this? In animals?" I asked with a smile. "In recognizing patterns of control and abuse through how people treat animals. It's really something unique. Someone needs to do it." "I agree. And that's why I want you to start a training program. Teach other detectives to recognize these signs. How you do it. I didn't expect this." "Captain, You changed lives, Miller. Not just the victims, but look at the impact this had. Since that first story about Elena went to the media, domestic violence reports in this city went up 40%. 40% because people saw that someone cares. That it's worth reporting. It wasn't just me." "Yes, it was mostly you. You and that damn note on a dog collar." He smiled. "So will you accept? Will you help train the next generation?" I thought about Elena, about Ashley, about Mr. Chen, about all the others who had come to me because they heard someone cared. "Yes," I said. "Yes, I'll accept." 5 years after that rainy October day, I was in a conference room full of recruits from the police academy. Wong was by my side, now promoted to lieutenant. "Good morning," I began. "My name is Detective Michael Miller, and today I'm going to talk about something that may seem unusual. How pets can be the key to solving cases of domestic violence, elder abuse, and even more serious crimes." I showed the photo of the note. That original note, now framed on my desk. "This here," I said, "changed everything." 5 desperate words, and it taught me the most important lesson of my career. A recruit raised his hand. "What, sir?" "That there are no small cases. There are no insignificant details. That note could have been ignored. Lucy could have been taken to animal control and forgotten. But because someone paid attention, because someone cared, 2 lives were saved. And not only that, that case started a wave of change in this city." I spent the next hour telling the stories. Eleanor and Lucy, Ashley and Max, Robert and Marmalade, and dozens of others. "The point," I concluded, "isn't that you're going to become animal detectives. The point is that you're going to learn to see the patterns, to recognize that when someone threatens or hurts an animal, often there's a human victim too, and sometimes the animal is the bridge, the safe way to ask for help." After the lecture, a young female recruit approached. "Detective Miller, can I ask something?" "Sure." "Do you still have contact with Elena?" "With Lucy?" I smiled. "I do. Actually, Elena works here now, in the victim support department. She helps other women who are where she was. And Lucy, she's a full-time therapy dog. They visit the station once a week." The recruit's eyes lit up. "Really? That's amazing." "It is. And you know what's the best part? Every person Elena helps, every life Lucy touches, it all goes back to that one moment. That one desperate decision to leave a note on a collar and hope someone would care. And you cared." "I did, and I always will. That's what I want all of you to learn. Care, pay attention. Be the person who answers when someone asks for help, even if that someone has 4 legs and can't speak." The recruit nodded, inspired. "I will, sir. I promise." As I left the academy that day, my phone buzzed. A message from Elena. "Hey, detective. Lucy and I are at the park with some of the women from the shelter. There's someone here who wants to meet you. She says she read about our story, and it gave her the courage to leave. Can you come by?" I smiled and typed back, "On my way." Because that's what it was all about. That's what it had always been about. One person caring, one person paying attention, one person willing to say, I see you, I hear you, you're not alone. A note on a collar started it all. But the ripples, the waves of change, hope, and healing, they never stopped spreading, and they never will. The end.